Captain Zethara stood on the bridge of the Harmony of Stars, watching the small blue planet spin slowly on the main display screen. Her tall, thin body swayed gently. As she moved, her translucent skin glowing softly in the ship's dim light. Like all Velthani, she had large eyes that could see things most other beings could not. Right now, those eyes were wide with confusion. "This cannot be right," she said to her science officer. "Run the scans again." Dr. Kyleth touched his control panel with long, delicate fingers. Numbers and graphs appeared in the air around them. He shook his head, which made his neck bend in a way that would break a human spine. "The readings are correct, Captain. This planet should not have any life on it at all. Look at these numbers." The data floating around them told an impossible story. The small world had weather so violent that storms could flatten entire forests. The ground shook and split open regularly, spitting fire and melted rock into the air. The temperature could change from freezing cold to burning hot in just one day. The air itself was so thick with a gas called oxygen that it would poison most life forms in the galaxy. The planet was full of life. Not just simple plants or tiny creatures, but complex beings that moved and built things. The electromagnetic readings showed they even had technology, though it was very basic compared to what the Velthani used. How is this possible? Zethara asked. No species could survive on such a violent world. Perhaps they are already dead, suggested Dr. Kyleth. Maybe we are seeing old signals from before the planet killed them. But even as he spoke, new readings appeared on their screens. Something had just launched from the planet's surface. It was crude and used chemical rockets that the Velthani had stopped using thousands of years ago. But it was definitely a spacecraft. "They are not dead," Zethara whispered. "They are still alive down there, still building, still trying to reach the stars." She had been studying this strange planet for 3 days now. Her ship was part of a peaceful exploration mission, cataloging new worlds and the life forms they found. The Velthani had been doing this for centuries, always learning, always sharing knowledge with other species they met. It was a good life, a calm life. That peaceful existence ended when the emergency signals started flooding their communication systems. The first message came from the outer colonies. 3 worlds in the Rigel sector had gone silent within hours of each other. Then more signals arrived, each one more desperate than the last. The Zirathi Dominion was on the move. Zethara had heard stories about the Zirathi, but they seemed like old tales meant to scare children. The Zirathi were huge insect-like creatures with armor-hard shells and claws that could cut through metal. They lived on harsh desert worlds and spent their time fighting each other. Most species in the galaxy simply avoided their territory, but the signals told a different story. The Zirathi had united under one leader and were now spreading across the galaxy like a disease. They did not want to trade or talk or learn. They wanted to conquer and destroy. Dr. Kyleth's hands shook as he read the latest reports. "Captain, the Henderson colony is under attack. The Zirathi landed 2 hours ago. The colonists are asking for help. How many ships do they have?" Zethara asked. The Henderson colony had no military ships. "They are scientists and farmers. They cannot fight." More signals came in. The Vega research station was burning. New Singapore had been evacuated just before Zirathi forces arrived. Everywhere the insect warriors went, peaceful species fled in terror. "What are our orders?" asked Commander Yiltan, Zethara's second in command. "We are to retreat to the inner systems immediately. All exploration missions are canceled. The fleet is gathering at Haven Prime to decide what to do." Zethara looked around her bridge. Her crew were scientists and explorers, not warriors. Their ship had no weapons except small tools for moving asteroids out of their path. Like most Velthani vessels, The harmony of stars was built for discovery, not destruction. Captain, Dr. Kylef said quietly, the Zirathi ships are incredibly powerful. Their weapons can destroy our vessels with one shot. Their soldiers are bred for war. We have no defense against them. The truth of those words settled over the bridge like a heavy blanket. The Velfani had spent so long in peace that they had forgotten how to fight. Most species in the galaxy were the same. They traded, they explored, they shared knowledge. War was something from the ancient past, but the Zirathi remembered war. They lived for it. Set course for Haven Prime, Zethara ordered. Maximum speed. As her ship prepared to leave, she took one last look at the violent little planet on her screen. Something about it would not leave her thoughts. Any species that could survive on such a world would have to be incredibly strong. They would need to fight just to live through each day. An idea began to form in her mind. It was crazy, desperate, probably hopeless. But as more emergency signals arrived, telling of worlds falling to the Zirathi advance, crazy ideas started to seem reasonable. Doctor, she said, could we send a message to that planet? Technically, yes. But Captain, they are barely capable of spaceflight. What could they possibly do to help us? Zethara looked at the data again. Violent storms, crushing gravity, poisonous air, unstable ground. Any creature that evolved on such a world would be unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They would be tough beyond imagination. They would know how to fight, because fighting would be the only way to survive. Perhaps, she said slowly, we have been thinking about this wrong. We have been looking for allies who are like us, peaceful and advanced. But what if we need allies who are nothing like us at all? She made her decision. While her ship turned toward Haven Prime in safety, she composed a message. It was simple and direct, translated into the basic mathematical concepts that any technological species would understand. It explained who they were, what was happening, and asked for help. Then she aimed the message at the small blue planet and sent it into space. The signal traveled at the speed of light toward Earth, carrying the hopes of a peaceful galaxy that had forgotten how to defend itself. It would take time to reach its destination, and even more time to get a response. Zethara could only pray that when her message found the violent world's inhabitants, they would prove to be the warriors her people desperately needed. The harmony of stars jumped to faster-than-light travel and disappeared, leaving the small blue planet alone with its storms, earthquakes, and impossible life forms. On Earth, in a small listening post orbiting high above the planet's surface, a night shift. Technician named Jake Martinez was about to have the most important moment of his career. Jake Martinez rubbed his tired eyes and took another sip of cold coffee. The night shift at Orbital Station Echo was usually quiet. Most of the time, he just listened to radio waves from distant stars and logged the data for the day crew to analyze. Tonight felt different, though. The new equipment they had installed was picking up signals he had never heard before. The sound coming through his headphones was not random noise like usual. It had patterns, like someone was trying to send a message. Jake adjusted the frequency and cleaned up the signal as best he could. The patterns became clearer. Mathematical sequences, prime numbers, basic geometric shapes. Someone was trying to talk. Jake's hands shook as he started recording everything. This was what every person who worked at the listening stations dreamed of finding: first contact with alien intelligence. He ran the signal through the computer translation programs, but they were experimental and slow. After 2 hours of work, Jake had enough to call his supervisor. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Park arrived at the station within 30 minutes, her uniform wrinkled from sleeping in her office. She was the head of the Extraterrestrial Communication Division, a job that mostly involved filing reports about radio noise from space. "Show me what you found," she said. Jake played back the clean signal. The mathematical patterns were clear now. Then came something else. Star charts, coordinates, images that showed massive ships and battles. The translation? Computer had managed to decode some basic concepts. Help, war, danger, please. This is it, Lisa whispered. This is really it. We have to call the Pentagon immediately. Within 4 hours, the small orbital station was buzzing with activity. Military officers, scientists, and government officials arrived on emergency shuttles. Jake found himself explaining the same information over and over to people with more stars on their uniforms than he had ever seen in one place. General, Patricia Stone was the first to ask the important questions. Do we know where this signal came from? How far away are they? What do they want from us? The coordinates in the message pointed to a location about 40 light years from Earth. The star charts showed a region of space that human telescopes had barely begun to explore. As for what they wanted, the translation computers were still working on that. Dr. Kevin Walsh from NASA spread printouts across the table in the station's main conference room. Based on what we can understand so far, they are asking for military help. They are at war with something called the Zirithi Dominion. They have sent us tactical information about their enemies. Admiral Frank Cooper leaned forward to study the data. These Zirithi ships are massive. Look at the size comparisons. Each one of their vessels is larger than our biggest aircraft carriers, and they have hundreds of them. What makes them think we can help? Asked General Stone. We barely have a dozen ships capable of traveling to other star systems. The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Helen Ross, a xenobiology expert, had been studying the biological data included in the message. I think I know why they contacted us. Look at this information about their own species. She showed them scans of the aliens who had sent the message. They were tall and thin, with delicate bones and skin so pale it was almost transparent. Their planet had light gravity, a thin atmosphere, and stable weather patterns. They evolved on a garden world, Dr. Ross explained. Perfect conditions for life. No natural disasters, no dangerous predators, no extreme weather. They probably never had to fight for survival. And they think we did? Admiral Cooper asked. Dr. Ross pulled up data about Earth that the message had included. Somehow, the aliens had scanned their planet and learned about human biology. The results were startling. Humans were built like tanks compared to the delicate aliens. Dense bones, heavy muscles, and organs designed to handle extreme stress. They know we come from a violent world, she said. They can see that we evolved to survive in conditions that would kill most life forms. To them, we must look like natural, born warriors. The room fell silent as everyone considered this. Humans had always thought of themselves as normal. Earth was just home. But seen through alien eyes, their planet was a nightmare world that created creatures built for war. President Harrison arrived at the station 12 hours after Jake's initial discovery. The emergency meeting included the Joint Chiefs of Staff, NASA leadership, and the heads of every major intelligence agency. A decision they had to make would change human history forever. Let me understand this correctly, the president said. Aliens have asked us to help them fight a war. They chose U.S. because they think we are naturally good at fighting. Is that accurate? Yes, sir, replied Dr. Walsh. They have sent us detailed information about their enemies, star charts showing where to find them, and coordinates for a meeting place. They are clearly desperate. General Stone spoke up. Sir, we need to consider the risks. We know nothing about these aliens except what they have told us. This could be a trap. Even if it is not, we would be committing our forces to a war we do not understand. Admiral Cooper had a different opinion. General, look at the technology they have shared with us. Their ships use power sources we can barely comprehend. Their medical knowledge could eliminate disease. Their star charts show us the locations of thousands of habitable worlds. The scientific benefits alone make this worth considering. The president studied the translated message for a long time. Jake watched from the corner where he had been allowed to stay as the person who first received the signal. The decision seemed impossible. Help aliens fight a war, or ignore the first contact in human history. What kind of ship do we have that could make this journey? The president asked. The Freedom's Edge, Admiral Cooper replied. It is our newest deep space vessel, built for exploration and long-range missions. It could reach their coordinates in about 3 weeks. Who would command such a mission? Commander Ryan Bell. He is our best deep space pilot. His crew has more experience with alien environments than anyone else in the fleet. The president looked around the room at all the faces watching him. Military officers ready for action. Scientists excited by the possibilities. Intelligence officials worried about the unknown. Dr. Ross, he said finally, in your professional opinion, are these aliens telling us the truth? She considered the question carefully. Mr. President, everything in their message is consistent. The star charts match what our telescopes can verify. The physics of their technology follows known laws. The biological data about their species makes sense. I believe they are genuine. And do you think we can help them? Dr. Ross smiled for the first time since arriving at the station. Sir, if they are looking for warriors, they contacted the right planet. Humans are the product of 4 billion years of evolution on a world that tried to kill us every single day. We learned to fight ice ages, volcanic eruptions, predators, diseases, and each other. If they need soldiers, we are probably the best choice in the galaxy. The president made his decision. Admiral Cooper, prepare the Freedom's Edge for immediate departure. Commander Bell will take a small crew to the rendezvous coordinates. We will make contact with these aliens and see what they need. As the meeting broke up and people began preparing for humanity's first interstellar diplomatic mission, Jake Martinez sat quietly at his workstation. He had started his shift thinking he would just listen to cosmic background radiation. Instead, he had changed the course of human history with a single intercept. The Freedom's Edge launched 72 hours later, carrying Commander Bell and his crew toward a meeting that would introduce humanity to the galaxy. Behind them, Earth began preparing for the possibility that they might soon be at war among the stars. Commander Ryan Bell looked out the window of the Freedom's Edge at the alien ships floating in space ahead of them. After 3 weeks of travel, they had finally reached the coordinates from the message. What they found was not what anyone on Earth had expected. 7 alien vessels hung in the darkness, but they were not the advanced starships that human scientists had imagined. These ships looked damaged. Scorch marks covered their hulls, and some had holes patched with what appeared to be emergency repairs. They were refugee ships, carrying survivors from a war they were losing. Commander, said Major Amy Rodriguez from the pilot's seat, we are receiving a transmission from the largest ship. They want to talk. Put it through, Ryan ordered. Main screen flickered and showed the bridge of an alien vessel. The being standing there made every human on the Freedom's Edge catch their breath. They were tall and graceful, with skin so pale it seemed to glow. Their eyes were huge and filled with an intelligence that was both ancient and gentle. The alien in the center stepped forward. When she spoke, the translation computer turned her words into English, though her voice sounded like music. I am Captain Zethera of the Volthani ship Harmony of Stars. We sent the message to your world. Thank you for coming. We did not know if anyone would answer our call for help. Ryan stood up straight and tried to look as professional as possible. I am Commander Ryan Bell of the Earth vessel Freedom's Edge. We received your message and came. to learn more about your situation. Captain Zithara looked relieved, but also confused. She tilted her head in a way that reminded Ryan of a curious bird. Commander Bell, forgive me, but you are not what we expected. Your species looks very different from the peaceful races we know. Dr. Susan Blake, the ship's medical officer, stepped forward. Captain Zithara, we would be honored to meet with you in person. Perhaps we could learn more about each other. An hour later, Ryan and his crew found themselves in the cargo bay of the Harmony of Stars. The artificial gravity felt lighter than Earth normal, and the air had a sweet smell that reminded them of flowers. Captain Zithara met them with several of her officers. The first thing Ryan noticed was how tall the aliens were. Captain Zethara stood almost 7 feet high, but she probably weighed less than a human child. Her bones looked as delicate as bird bones, and her movements were slow and careful. Dr. Kyleth, the Velthani science officer, approached Dr. Blake with what appeared to be a medical scanner. "May I examine you?" he asked politely. "We have never seen beings from a high-gravity world before." Dr. Blake agreed, and the alien device hummed as it passed over her body. Dr. Kyleth's large eyes grew even wider as he read the results. "This is impossible," he whispered. "According to these readings, your bones are 3 times as dense as ours. Your muscle tissue is incredibly compact. Your heart pumps with enough force to damage most circulatory systems. How do you survive with such extreme physiology?" "We evolved on Earth," Dr. Blake explained. "Our planet has strong gravity, violent weather, and dangerous conditions. We had to become strong to survive." Captain Zithara activated a holographic display that showed images of different worlds. "This is my home planet, Velther," she said. The display showed a world of gentle rolling hills, calm blue oceans, and cities that looked like they were made of crystal and light. "The weather is always mild. The ground never shakes. We have no dangerous animals. It is a perfect world for peaceful life." The display changed to show other worlds. All of them were similar. Garden planets with stable climates and no natural threats. "Most species in the galaxy evolved on worlds like these," Zethar explained. "We have had peace for so long that we forgot what war was like." Then the display showed the Zirathi homeworld. It was a harsh desert planet with constant sandstorms and brutal heat. But even this world looked gentle compared to Earth. Sergeant Tony Chun, the human engineer, laughed when he saw the Zirathi planet. "That looks like Arizona in the summer. Not exactly what I would call dangerous." The aliens stared at him in shock. Dr. Kyleth quickly pulled up data about Earth that their ships had collected. The images that appeared made all the Velthani step backward. Earth looked like a nightmare world. Massive hurricanes that could destroy entire cities. Earthquakes that split the ground open. Volcanoes that threw fire into the sky. Floods, droughts, ice ages, and temperature changes that would kill most galactic species in minutes. "Your people survived on this world?" Captain Zithara asked in amazement. "We did not just survive," Major Rodriguez said with pride. "We conquered it. We learned to predict the storms, build cities that could withstand earthquakes, and adapt to any environment. Earth made us strong." Dr. Kyleth was studying more data about human biology. "Your species can heal from injuries that would be fatal to us. You can survive temperature changes that would kill most beings instantly. Your reaction time is faster than any species we have encountered. You are built like weapons." Corporal Mike Foster, the communications specialist, accidentally cut his hand on a sharp edge while examining alien equipment. The Velthani immediately called for medical help. Expecting a serious emergency, they watched in amazement as the bleeding stopped within minutes. Dr. Blake cleaned the wound and bandaged it casually. "He will be fine in a few days," she said. "A few days?" Dr. Kyleth asked. Such an injury would take one of us months to heal, if we survived at all. The real demonstration came when the aliens invited Major Rodriguez to try their flight simulator. The device was designed to test pilot skills under extreme conditions. What the Velthani considered dangerous flying, Rodriguez handled like a routine training exercise. The gravity forces that would kill our pilots do not even make you uncomfortable, observed Commander Yilton, Zethara's second officer. You truly are from a death world. Captain Zethara used a new term that would soon spread across the galaxy. Deathworlders, she said quietly. That is what we should call beings from planets like yours. Worlds so dangerous that they create living weapons. The meeting continued for hours as both sides shared information. The Velthani explained the war in detail. The Zirathi Dominion had united their scattered tribes under one leader and begun conquering everything in their path. They destroyed cities, enslaved populations, and showed no mercy to anyone who opposed them. They are 8 feet tall with natural armor that deflects our energy weapons, explained Dr. Kyleth. Their claws can tear through metal. Their ships are built like fortresses. We have no defense against them. Commander Bell studied the tactical data with growing confidence. To human eyes, the Zirathi looked dangerous, but not impossible to defeat. Their weapons and tactics were straightforward. Their heavy armor would make them slow. Their size would be a disadvantage in confined spaces. Captain Zethara, Ryan said finally, we need to return to Earth and report what we have learned. But I want you to know something. If humanity decides to help you, we will not just send ships or weapons. We will send warriors who have spent their entire evolutionary history learning how to fight and win. The Velthani looked at each other with expressions that might have been hope. For the first time since the war began, they had found allies who were not afraid of the Zirathi. There is something else you should know, Captain Zethara said as the meeting ended. The Zirathi are not just conquering worlds. They are destroying every species they encounter. This is not war for territory. This is genocide on a galactic scale. Commander Bell's jaw tightened. That changed everything. This was not just about helping allies. This was about stopping the complete destruction of countless innocent species. As the human crew prepared to return to their ship, Dr. Kyleth approached Dr. Blake one last time. Are all beings from death worlds like you? He asked. We do not know, she replied. But if they are, the Zirathi are about to learn that the galaxy has been hiding its most dangerous children. The Freedom's Edge departed for Earth, carrying representatives from 3 refugee species in complete intelligence about the Zirathi threat. Behind them, the surviving Velthani ships waited and hoped that the Deathworlders would return with an army. The Freedom's Edge returned to Earth carrying 3 alien refugees and news that changed everything. Captain Zethara, Dr. Kyleth, and Commander Yulton stood in the Oval Office 3 days later, their tall forms looking strange but dignified. In the room where human history was made, President Harrison listened carefully as Commander Bell presented his report. The holographic displays showed Zirathi battle formations, destroyed worlds, and refugee ships fleeing across the galaxy. When the presentation ended, the room fell silent. How many species have they destroyed? The President asked. 17. Confirmed extinctions. Captain Zethara replied through the translation device. Dozens more scattered as refugees. They show no mercy to anyone who cannot fight back. General Patricia Stone studied the tactical data. Mr. President, their ships are massive, but their tactics are simple. They rely on overwhelming firepower and boarding actions. Human military doctrine could counter their strategies. Admiral Frank Cooper agreed. Sir, what we lack in advanced technology, we make up for in tactical innovation. These Zirathi fight like they expect their enemies to follow rules. We do not fight with rules. The President turned to Dr. Helen Ross, who had been studying the alien biology data. "Doctor, what is your assessment of our chances?" "Mr. President, the Zirithi are formidable by galactic standards, but they have never faced anything like humans. Their heavy armor makes them slow. Their size makes them vulnerable in confined spaces. Most importantly, they have been fighting species that evolved on peaceful worlds. They have no experience against predators. The decision came quickly. Within hours, President Harrison addressed the United Nations. The speech was broadcast worldwide as humanity learned that they were no longer alone in the universe, and that they were about to go to war among the stars. "My fellow humans," the president said, "we have learned that our galaxy is home to many peaceful species. Today, those species face extinction at the hands of a brutal enemy. They have asked for our help because they recognize something in us that we have always taken for granted. We are survivors. We are fighters. We are the children of a world that made us strong." The response was unlike anything in human history. Traditional enemies put aside their differences overnight. Russia offered their best military engineers. China opened their shipyards for rapid construction. The European Union provided funding and resources. Every major nation on Earth committed to the war effort. General Stone took command of the rapid military buildup. The small human space fleet grew quickly as civilian ships were converted for war. The cargo hauler Determination became an assault carrier. The research vessel Explorer was fitted with weapons and renamed Retribution. Mining ships became troop transports. Colonel Jake Thompson received orders to create the first human Space Marine battalion. His training facility in Nevada became a testing ground for zero-gravity combat techniques. The Velthani provided detailed maps of Zirithi ship layouts, allowing human forces to practice boarding actions in mock-up corridors. "The key is speed and surprise," Thompson told his Marines during a training exercise. "These bugs are big and heavily armored, but they are slow to react. We hit them fast, hit them hard, and disappear before they know what happened." The Marines practiced fighting in the cramped spaces of alien ships. Their smaller size, which had always been a disadvantage against larger enemies on Earth, became a strength in the narrow corridors of spacecraft. Dr. Helen Ross led a team of scientists working with Velthani technology experts. They upgraded human ships with energy shields and improved weapons, but the real breakthrough came from understanding Zirithi weaknesses. "Their carapaces are incredibly strong from the front," she explained to Admiral Cooper, "but the joints are vulnerable. Their compound eyes have blind spots that human weapons can exploit. Most importantly, they have never learned to fight an enemy that uses psychological warfare." The aliens watched these preparations with growing amazement. They had seen dozens of species flee before the Zirithi advance, but none had responded. With such organized aggression and tactical planning, Dr. Kyleth spent his time studying human military history. The records he found shocked him. Humans had been fighting wars for thousands of years, developing strategies and technologies specifically designed to kill other humans. No other species in the galaxy had such extensive knowledge of warfare. "They have entire schools dedicated to studying war," he reported to Captain Zethara. "They have written books about tactics, strategy, and leadership in battle. They prepare their young people for war, even during peacetime. This is not just a species that can fight. This is a species that has perfected fighting." The human fleet grew to 37 vessels within 6 weeks. They were not the largest or most advanced ships in the galaxy, but they were built by beings who understood that sometimes survival required violence. Commander Bell took command of the lead squadron aboard the rebuilt Freedom's Edge. His ships carried crews that had trained for combat in conditions that would kill most galactic species. They practiced maneuvers at gravitational forces that would crush alien pilots. The final preparation came when intelligence reports arrived showing Zirathi forces gathering for another major offensive. 3 more sectors would fall unless someone stopped them. The target was clear. A Zirathi battle group attacking the last Velfani stronghold in the Kepler 442 system. Admiral Cooper addressed the combined human-alien fleet before departure. Representatives from 17 refugee species had joined them, but everyone knew the humans would do most of the fighting. "We go to war not for conquest or glory," Cooper said, "but to protect those who cannot protect themselves. The galaxy is about to learn what happens when peaceful species are threatened by the children of Earth." Captain Zethera spoke last. Her words were translated for the human crews, but her meaning was clear, even without technology. For too long, the galaxy has known only peace. That peace made us weak when strength was needed. Today, the Deathworlders go to war for us. Today, we learn what our galaxy has been missing. The fleet departed Earth space with 37 human ships and 12 alien vessels carrying refugees who wanted to fight for their lost homes. Behind them, Earth continued preparing for a war that might spread across the galaxy dot in the Kepler 442 system. 12 massive Zirathi dreadnoughts continued their bombardment of the last Velfani colony, unaware that something unprecedented was coming for them. They had conquered 17 species without serious resistance. They had never fought. Deathworlders. Colonel Thompson stood in the cargo bay of the assault carrier Determination, addressing his Marines one final time before combat. Around him, 200 human warriors checked their weapons and equipment. "Remember what we learned in training," he said. "These aliens are big, but big things fall hard. They are armored, but armor has weak points. They think they are the scariest things in the galaxy. Time to show them what scary really looks like." The Marines cheered, and the sound echoed through the ship. It was not the organized chant of a parade ground, but the wild cry of predators about to hunt. The Zirathi had spent centuries terrorizing peaceful species. They were about to meet Earth's children, and Earth's children were coming for war. The Zirathi battle group hung in space around the 4th planet of the Kepler 442 system, like hungry wolves surrounding wounded prey. 12 massive dreadnoughts, each one larger than a human city, poured destruction down on the last Velfani colony. Smaller Zirathi ships hunted the few remaining transport vessels trying to escape with refugees. Commander Gextal stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the bombardment with satisfaction. His 8-foot frame was covered in natural armor that had deflected 1,000 enemy shots. His claws had personally killed the leaders of 6 different species. This would be his 17th conquest. "The colony shields are failing," reported his weapons officer. "Resistance will end within the hour." Gextal nodded. It was always the same. The peaceful species fought briefly, then fled or surrendered. None of them had the will to truly resist the Zirathi dominion. Soon, this system would join the growing empire, and he would move on to the next target. That was when the unknown ships appeared. They came out of faster than light, travel at the edge of the system, 37 vessels that looked different from anything in Zirathi records. They were smaller than dreadnoughts, but moved with dangerous purpose. "Commander, we are receiving a transmission," said the communications officer. The main screen showed the bridge of an alien ship. The being standing there was shorter than most galactic species, with a compact build and forward-facing eyes that marked him as a predator. When he spoke, his voice was calm, but carried an undertone that made veteran Zirathi warriors step backward. "Zirathi vessels, this is Admiral Frank Cooper of the Terran Defense Fleet. You are attacking defenseless civilians. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Gextal laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Unknown species, you are outgunned and outnumbered. Flee now or be destroyed with the colony." Admiral Cooper's expression did not change. "We are humans from Earth. We have come to stop you. This is your only warning." The transmission ended, and Gextal turned to his tactical officer. "Begin the attack. Show these newcomers what happens to those who interfere with the Dominion." What happened next became known as the Battle of Kepler 442, though human military. Historians would later call it the Zirithi Introduction to Reality. The human fleet split into 3 groups and attacked from different directions at once. Instead of the direct assault the Zirithi expected, the smaller human ships used the asteroid field around the system's outer edge for cover, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. Commander Bell led the first attack wave in the Freedom's edge. His ship dove through a gap in the Zirithi formation, fired a full spread of missiles at a dreadnought's weak points, then vanished behind a large asteroid. Before the enemy could return fire, "Target the joints in their armor," Bell ordered his weapons officer, "just like Dr. Ross taught us." The human missiles struck with precision that shocked the Zirithi. Instead of the wild, unfocused attacks they were used to, every shot hit exactly where it would do the most damage. Armor plates cracked. Shield generators exploded. Weapon systems went offline. But the real surprise came when Colonel Thompson's Marines began their boarding actions. The assault carrier, Determination, launched dozens of small attack pods that latched onto 3 different Zirithi dreadnoughts. The pods cut through the hull armor with focused plasma torches, and pods, human Marines poured into the alien ship's dock the Zirithi had prepared for boarding actions before. Other species sometimes tried to capture their ships, but those species fought defensively, trying to hold positions until help arrived. The humans fought like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Thompson led the assault on the command ship personally. His Marines moved through the corridors like a flood of destruction, using their smaller size to navigate spaces the large Zirithi found cramped. When the aliens tried to form defensive lines, the humans used grenades and flanking maneuvers to break them apart. "Remember, these bugs have blind spots," Thompson shouted over the sound of battle. "Hit them from the sides and keep moving." The psychological effect was devastating. The Zirithi had conquered 17 species, but they had never faced an enemy that seemed to enjoy the fight. Human warriors advanced with tactical precision, but also with something the galaxy had never seen: the aggressive joy of apex predators, finally facing worthy prey. On the command ship's bridge, Commander Gextel found himself face to face with Colonel Thompson. The human was half his size, but the Zirithi warrior backed away instinctively. There was something in the smaller being's eyes that spoke of a killer refined by millions of years of evolution. "You are the leader of this attack?" Thompson asked, his weapon trained on the alien commander. "I am Gextal of the Zirithi Dominion," the alien replied, trying to sound threatening despite his fear. "We have conquered more worlds than your primitive species can imagine." Thompson smiled, and the expression made Gextal's blood run cold. "That was your mistake. You picked on defenseless species for so long, you forgot how to fight real warriors." The space battle raged for 6 hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. Human ships executed maneuvers that should have killed their crews through gravitational force, but human physiology handled the stress easily. They used ramming attacks that no sane galactic species would attempt. Their ships reinforced with techniques learned from building structures to survive Earth's natural disasters. The Zirithi fought bravely, but they were facing tactics evolved from Earth's endless cycle of competition and survival. Every strategy they tried, the humans had a counter. Every weapon they used, the humans had a defense. When the battle ended, all 12 Zirithi dreadnoughts were either destroyed or captured. Not a single enemy ship escaped to report what had happened. Admiral Cooper stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching rescue ships evacuate the surviving Velthani colonists. Captain Zethar's voice came through the communication system, filled with amazement and gratitude. Admiral Cooper, in all our records of galactic warfare, no one has ever achieved such a complete victory against the Zirathi. How did you do this? Cooper looked out at the wreckage of the enemy fleet floating in space. Captain, your people made one mistake when you called for help. You thought you were asking for warriors. You were actually summoning something much more dangerous. What is that? She asked. Deathworlders who have spent their entire evolutionary history learning how to kill things that were bigger and stronger than they were. The news of the battle spread through both fleets rapidly. The Zirathi Dominion's seemingly unstoppable advance had met its match. For the first time in the war, it was the Zirathi who retreated in fear and confusion. But this was only the beginning. Intelligence gathered from captured Zirathi ships revealed the location of their homeworld and the command structure that held their empire together. The galaxy was about to witness something unprecedented, a species of Deathworlders going to war, not for conquest, but for justice. Colonel Thompson stood in the captured command ship, looking at star charts that showed dozens of Zirathi-controlled systems. Around him, his Marines prepared for the next battle, their faces showing the grim satisfaction of hunters who had found their prey. The Zirathi had spent centuries believing they were the most dangerous species in the galaxy. They had ruled through fear and overwhelming force, destroying anyone who opposed them. They had never met the children of Earth. No. They would learn that the galaxy had been hiding its most dangerous predators all along, and those predators were no longer content to stay hidden. The war for galactic freedom had begun, and humanity intended to finish it.